Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Firebutton podcast. We're restarting it. There's a new theme, a new general behaviour. Try and be a little bit more professional, have a rhyme, reason, and rhythm. I'm Steve, your host, and with me I have Adam. Say hello, Adam.
Hello, Adam.
I have Adrian. Say hello, Adrian.
Hello, everyone.
Also known as Aid. I also have with me on the other end of the line, in dearest sunny Sheffield, I have Jay.
Hello.
And Harry. Say hello, Harry.
Yo. Hello.
Okay, so rather than getting too into, introducing ourselves, because we've already done that, and very professional-like, let's go straight into the news.
Okay, the first bit of news we got today is THQ Nordic has acquired another developer, which is probably like the 5,000th they've done in recent...
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah, they bought Piranha Bytes, which they have made games like Risen and Gothic.
They're like RPG action games, right?
I want to say yes, but I don't think I've played any of them.
Fair enough. I mean, when it comes to this, THQ Nordic, I only know them as the guys who eat other developers and then don't seem to do anything with them.
Pretty much, yeah.
You know, they've purchased the rights for Time Splitters and I believe Saints Row.
Yeah, pretty much the entire backlog that the original THQ got rid of to start with.
It's I don't know how to feel about this. So we got any feelings on that, guys?
I don't know. I live under a rock when it comes to games in general, so I'm not quite sure what that's all about.
That's fair.
I'm on the same boat with Harry.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm pretty unfamiliar with a lot of THQ's back catalogue. I have no feelings one way or the other about this acquisition.
That's fair. I mean, I only see it as just a sign of THQ or that company that's like, if EA throws something out, they pick up the leftovers, it feels like. Okay, what's our next one, Abe?
Are you guys familiar with Sega's Judgment game, like the Yakuza spin-off?
It sounds familiar, but...
It got pulled from sale last year.
Is it the latest Yakuza game? Or was it going to be like another prequel game?
It's a prequel game, I think. Maybe. Anyway, there's an actor in it, Pierre Taki. He was arrested for illegal drug use, and Sega decided to completely erase him from that game.
Yeah, they had a character based on his likeness that they've had to remodel, haven't they?
Yeah, they've got a new voice actor for it, Miao Tekna. He's previously been in the Yakuza games before. He's voiced as a separate character.
I find it strange that they must be very, very on the button, because the criminal offence is just drug use, right? Do we know if it's like excessive or minor? Or...
I don't think we've gone into detail with it. They're just completely erasing him from just about everything he's been in. Is it drug dealing or something? Because it's like, to get completely non-person, to have your likeness stripped out of a game and your job given to someone else is a bit... Well, it's not just the game. It's Frozen 2, I believe, as well. He plays one of the characters in there. He's being removed from that too.
Well, as in the voice, the Japanese dub for it.
Yeah, I'm not sure which one it was. I think it might
It's got to be like a drug dealer or something, surely. Not like
Frozen 2.
No, I mean, yes, truly the edgy remake we were expecting of Frozen. You know, Olaf not actually made out of snow kids. He's made out of
Yeah, let it snow.
No.
Yeah. Scarface over it. Oh.
Alright, it's going back on sale in Japan July 18th, half the price of the original, and it will be called the new price version.
I'm getting a Shenmue vibe from it.
Yakuza's it's like in a very similar vein, if I'm honest. It's not the same, but it's very, like, there's DNA of Shenmue in Yakuza, isn't it? Yeah.
I'm not sure it's the same developers originally, but...
Maybe originally, but I don't know enough about the Yakuza series. I dabbled with the first one on PS2, and that's been it for me. It
does kind of go full circle that Shenmue started life as a Virtua Fighter RPG, and then it sort of changed from that, and Virtua Fighter 5 Final Showdown, or whatever it's called, is actually a mini game in one of the Yakuza games.
Oh, an arcade cabinet kind of deal.
Yeah.
And I say, because Shenmue's always had the arcade cabinets with different Sega games, and like Space Harrier and stuff like that.
Space Harrier, Super Hang-On, those are the best bits of Shenmue.
Yeah.
Okay, the next story we have is The Sims 4 is currently free on Origin. It will be to the 28th of May. So if you've not played The Sims 4, if you're interested, grab it for free.
Sims 4 is in... When you say 28th of May, are we talking like until... Yeah, you get it today, and you got it for the rest of your life?
Yes.
That's not bad, actually. Free Sims game, if you can run it.
Yeah.
I mean,
free games are free game, really.
Yeah, free games are free games.
PC only.
It's been a very long time.
PC only. Yeah.
Damn.
Sorry, Harry, what are you saying, mate?
I was just thinking it's been a very long time since I played any kind of Sims game.
I can't believe they're still going, actually. Or I can.
I think the last one I played was Sims 2.
Yeah, that actually might have been the last one I played.
See, Sims falls into three camps. There's the kind who want to build a house. There's a kind who want to, like, you know, build like the ultimate family unit, so to speak. And then there's the kind who want to build fucking Saw. All right.
Yeah, I
Well,
was the one who just wanted to be an interior
same-sex
designer.
relationships all the time.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah, that's fair. I mean, you know.
Say that again, Harry.
I was the one who just wanted to be an interior designer. I just wanted to make swish places. I couldn't really care less about who was living in it and what they were eating, cleaning up after themselves.
But no, free game, guys. Go get it if you can. You know, at the end of the day, free game is free game.
If you can run it on PC.
If you can run it.
Yeah.
We'll go anyway. You might upgrade your PC sometime.
Yeah.
It's free.
Go on then, Aidan.
Right.
Unleash the bombshell. This one's great. I love this news.
Okay, the last story is Sega have unveiled a new Virtua Fighter and House of the Dead.
What?
The caveat to that is there's pachinko slot machines.
Oh.
You can hear it.
Just about to open up Chrome and say, what? New Virtual Fighter? What? Fuck you, Sega.
Yeah.
So what does this mean? They're the like kind of thing?
Virtua Fighter Battle Genesis and House of the Dead Scarlet Dawn Battle Genesis, which is a fucking mouthful.
Indeed.
I love Japanese pachinko. In general, like, those kind of reactions people get, because when everyone's announced in Japan, it's probably, yay, a new arcade cabinet. Here, nothing but bile, nothing but hate. Like, you take my franchise and you turn it into this. And they normally have really swish, like, high quality CG and stuff like to draw people in on, like, to attract things for what is essentially like you drop things and they fall down like it's like they fall down a machine, not like a 2p machine, Adam, but you drop coins in and it falls down these balls to basically land in random slots.
Oh, it's a slot machine.
Yes.
It's a gambler's slot machine.
Yeah.
Kind of,
So it's
yeah.
not a physical video game.
No.
Oh my god.
It will look nice, but at the end of the day, it's essentially just a gambling machine.
So I can't shoot zombies on a new game.
You might be able to if your balls land the right spot. You might get a cool little animation of the zombies being shot. But yeah,
It's
Sort
not
of
physically
like-
me pulling the trigger, though, is it?
no. Go on, Jay. What you
Sort of
saying?
like a pinball table with no flippers, and you know, where it can land on the way down is just what points you get, what kind of thing you can win, kinda. There's a lot more cultural significance because Japanese people fucking love pachinko machines, and us Westerners, we just don't get it, and that's about all I know.
Makes sense.
Definitely a massive culture divide there, unfortunately. So yes, there is a new Virtua Fighter and a new House of the Dead.
And they'll both be available in Japan sometime this summer. So if you want them, go to Japan.
And that concludes the news. Okay, so what have we been playing this week then? Let's start with something simple. Newscaster Aid. What have you been playing this week?
A few games, actually. One of the games I've been playing, well, I picked up yesterday, actually, was King of Fighters 96.
So new then.
Hey.
I know. Well, I saw it on sale, £3. Thought, what the fuck, just give it a try. For the 15th time.
So it's almost in the... It's not ported as much as Resident Evil 4, but as far as I'm aware, it's on almost nearly bloody everything at this point. Is that right?
I think most of the King of Fighters are nearly off everything now.
Yeah, innit? If you put them all together, I'm pretty sure they've been ported to everything multiple times.
Yeah, especially the earlier ones. I think it's just like the later ones, like King of Fighters 11, which is still only available on the PS2. Which,
Those are my favourite ones.
sorry, Steve. Other games I've been playing, well, big Destiny 2 horse, I've been playing a lot of that. This week's been Iron Banner, so there's been a lot of PvP, a lot of screaming, a lot of shouting, a lot of frustration.
I thought you meant to be like a co-op lead guy on that whole thing.
Yeah, but occasionally I go dip into the PvP side.
Okay. Got to do them quests or whatever the frig they're called, dailies.
Yeah, just trying to get the power level up ready for the new content in a couple of weeks.
Okay. Now, I know someone's itching to kind of tell us what they've been playing, because they've probably had like about an hour's time on it so far. Jay, what have you been playing?
If you're expecting me to say Team Sonic Racing, I've barely scratched the surface of that, having got it just today. But I've been playing the original Rage, because Rage 2 came out last week, and it's actually a bit expensive. And while waiting for the price to go down, I thought I'd recap on the original, because I do like the looks of Rage 2. It's all mad colours and whatnot, but, you know, sort of, I don't work for much of the week. I get a very small wage, and half of that on a video game is just not worth it. So I'm waiting for the sale price on.
That's fair. I mean, new releases aren't exactly easy to come by, even when you've got a full playing job and you've got all these other modern responsibilities of being an adult. Am I thinking when it comes to Rage 1 and Rage 2, the bigger contrast to the colour is probably a kind of a backlash to Rage. The original Rage's main caveat was it was a bit grey and brown everywhere. Is that right?
Rage is a very brown and sand coloured game. Yeah, I mean, for what it's worth, it's kind of a good looking game, just not a colourful game.
It was like on one of the id Tech engines, wasn't it?
Yeah, id Tech. I kind of want to say 6 or 5. I lose track. The whole draw of it was the whole mega texture thing. Really big, non-repeating textures for gorgeous rock faces and stuff. But on the console versions, you had a lot of texture pop in as it sort of cached that into memory.
Well, kind of like Unreal games tend to be.
Yeah.
I say, unfortunately, it came out in a similar time period to Borderlands, which was bright, vibrant, and colourful. And if nothing else, the aesthetics kind of, when stacked against each other, I think people were going more for colourful stuff. Whereas now, Rage is coming full circle, is now wacky, bombastic, and everything's neon pink and baby blue. And yeah, I mean, it's not something I pursued myself, but I can definitely see the appeal. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, to me, it looks great, but like I say, it's an expensive game. I want it to be a little cheaper before I get it.
It seems like a game that would benefit greatly in HDR, but it doesn't have HDR support.
No?
No.
Oh, okay.
Which I found weird. It's like the two versions that are out. You got the PS4 Pro and the PS4 version. They're concentrating on keeping them at 1080 and messing about with the frame rate. So if you play it on the Pro, you get 60 frames a second, and if you play it on the 4, then you get 30 frames a second. That's
surprising, although I wish most games these days, if you can play it on your Xbox One X and your PS4 Pro and whatnot, and probably I would not be surprised if there's a Super Switch or something down the line. Why they don't give you the option of performance over graphics?
I like the option myself, but for some reason they decided to go that route.
Especially since the original Rage, credit where it's due, pretty much a solid 60 frames per second. I'm playing the PS3 version, and you can actually notice the dynamic resolution changes because sometimes in really busy areas, things will become a bit more jagged as it's sort of outputting a lower resolution to keep frame rate high. And I do kind of like that.
Right then. I know you've been itching to talk about it, Adam, because you look like you're very nervous. What have you been playing?
Well, I wouldn't say in the last week. It's been months. But the recent ones I've been getting into, I'm back on MapleStory again. Aha, surprise. And Mirror's Edge, just to get me back into console gaming a bit.
Wait, by Mirror's Edge, you mean the original Mirror's Edge, or do you mean Catalyst?
I haven't even touched Catalyst yet, and I am going to one day.
Okay, alright, okay.
Unless we go in blind one day.
Oh, okay, you're fishing from the Let's Play, fair enough.
Well, it's been a while.
No, that's fair. I'm
it's either
curious.
that or Harry Potter Chamber of Secrets.
You intend to make
What,
me
the PS1 game?
Oh, yes, Harry.
So, I have to ask, is there a particular reason, or is it like a comfort game? Did you just is there a reason you went back to Mirror's Edge in particular, do you think? Or was it just
It was always a good one to come back to. I mean, you could always just mess about doing time trials or go into your story mode, but it's just general finding new things, and I realise I found a few new things. I've also completed an achievement, yay.
Okay.
Just one.
I think that's the brilliant thing about some games that stand the test of time, because Mirror's Edge 1 had a unique art style, which is always a great unique selling point for me. 2, unique gameplay element and the whole, free running and stuff. Storyline, it's just, people versus the system, basically. But the way it's pulled off, very interesting little thing to do. I mean, it's a fairly short game as well, isn't it? It's we're talking if you know what you're doing, under 2 hours.
I don't know, you could pretty much do it in the same time limit as Portal, which is
about 2 hours.
2 hours. But I normally got that down in under an hour.
I'm sure we did it. There is a video on the channel somewhere way back in the Back Beyond. Don't watch it, it's probably cringy. I want to say, I think Jay's the only other guy on podcast who's really played the living daylights out of Mirror's Edge. Is that right?
Yeah,
that's true, yeah.
Have you played Catalyst, Jay?
Yeah, I played through Catalyst. I think it's a good game. Barely good, but it's very, very okay. It's worth playing, but it's not a patch on the original Mirror's Edge.
Oh, so it's like your Sonic 1 to Sonic 2 kind of vibe.
No, it's being a bit cruel to Sonic too.
Ooh, oh, okay. All right, then.
It's like a prequel, isn't it? So I heard.
It's a reboot.
Is it really a reboot?
Yeah, it's pretty much telling the same story, kind of different. I don't know. It's one of those things that if the original Mirror's Edge didn't actually come out and do it much better, I would like Catalyst a lot more, I think.
But since you've had a taste for Mirror's Edge 1, Catalyst sort of seems a bit mirror.
Are you that invested in the narrative, though? I've got to ask. Is that the reason you're going to buy the games, Adam?
What, Mirror's Edge?
Yeah.
I want to give my own opinion to the Mirror's Edge series. Now it's becoming 1 and 2.
Okay, that's fair. I mean, power to you, I guess. Okay, so they've been waiting patiently in the back.
Mm-hmm.
What have you been playing, Harry?
Well, what I've finally played through and finished is Riven, the sequel to Myst.
This is the second Myst game, yeah?
It's the second Myst game. I did start playing it way back when, but the thing that put me off was how back when you had it on the disc, the CD-ROMs, Riven came on 5 discs that you constantly had to sort of chop and change as you explored the island, like the world you were on. There's like 5 different islands in Riven, and each one is like a different disc. So in a game where there's a lot of backtracking, a lot of backwards and forwards, and figuring things out, changing those discs got major pain in the arse. So I just didn't bother with it for the longest time.
Wait, was it like a non-linear thing? So you could go from disc 1 to disc 5 to disc 4 to disc 1?
Oh yeah, it's imagine none of the Myst like really were sort of like linear, I suppose.
I know why you haven't been swapping discs to play it now, but for the...
Oh, right. I'm getting to that. Patience. So yeah, finally, I saw that you could get it on iPad, which is like, I don't really computer guy these days. My laptop is a potato, so I can't really play in things on there. So I found, I can't remember how I found it actually. I think I was just curious and found that you can get Riven and the original Myst for iPad. And it's been really great, and I've really enjoyed it, and I've now finally been able to actually properly finish it. And I have to say, it rivals Myst 3 Exile to be my favourite Myst game. Jesus
Christ, that's a big claim, because I know how much you love that game as well.
I know, right? I know. I'm still sort of like digesting it, but I think what it has over Exile, it sort of still retains a bit more of that otherworldly eeriness like the first game, but there's a bit more depth to it in terms of story. It's the whole thing with the Riven and the Myst games in general is like the story isn't rammed down your throat. There aren't any scenes, there aren't any exposition, there aren't really things explaining things to you other than things that you find in the game, like, you know, like notes and books and letters and stuff like that. So this, you know, the story is there if you want to find it about as much as you want. And I think Exile sort of gets away from that a little bit because that starts to play with like incidental cutscenes and stuff, and you know, interacting with characters, which, you know, I still do like that game a lot, but I think I prefer the sort of like the being just on your own and with no clue what to do other than, oh, what does this do? What does that do? Let's read this thing. Oh, this is what's happening. But I really enjoyed it. And, you know, actually finally playing through Riven as well. On the iPad, I think it's great. I think playing it on the iPad has the edge because, obviously, with it being touchscreen, you can like use your finger to point and press and, you know, play with things like on Riven. Whereas, obviously, with the mouse clicks and you've got to, like, click on this side of the screen and get the finger in that way to move that way, click on that side of the screen to get finger pointing and go that way and stuff like that. And I just think it was a lot more intuitive as well, the iPad. So more intuitive because touchscreen, and didn't have to fucking swap on discs, so it's great.
See, I've had very limited experience with the Riven games. Would you say they're more like the starter point and click, or?
I had this sort of conversation with Jay, is that they are point and click, but give me an example of another point and click game. Like, we've got sort of Broken Sword and Monkey Island, the other one.
Sam Max and...
Yeah, Sam and Max and the, like, Day of the Tentacle, Monkey Island kind of thing. I think that's where Aid School is coming from.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the difference between the Myst games and those games, I find, is those games tend to be like you're in a situation, you need to find an item puzzle to do the thing, and then you move to the next area. Is that correct?
Yeah. Like find a checkpoint.
Okay. Yeah. What I like about Riven is it's not finding objects and putting the right combination together to achieve a thing as much as here is a world. You can explore it. Things that you can't physically get to that you can see you can get over there. The puzzle is, okay, I am here. How do I get over there? And, it's more about being observant. Like, there might be some weird symbols on things and you think what this is. And then you press it and there's like a color lights up or something. It's like, oh, this symbol must mean this color. And, you do not play the Myst games without a notebook because otherwise you'll be screwed.
I mean, during mine and Harry's Let's Play, we each had our own little notebook at the time.
And I think that's why I like the Myst games more, because it's not like just random, okay, solve this puzzle, okay, solve this puzzle. It's more like, here is the world, off you fuck. Survive.
It's awfully lot like a game I played recently, but I just cannot remember the name of it.
What have you been playing? I don't know.
It was the same sort of thing. Like you wander around, you're finding like puzzles, and you have to take note of what you see. And I can remember one puzzle was like you had to line up a tree's shadow with what was on a board, and that kind of like solved the puzzle for you.
Witness, I think it was called.
That was it. Witness. Thank you.
Yeah, well, as an example of the kind of puzzles you have to solve in Riven, is like, basically, I've got to get power to these things so that I could go and capture this guy. So the puzzles revolve around, how do I get power to this thing? Where does the power come from? What settings do I need to put the power on? Like, stuff like that, rather than, who done it or do the MacGuffin.
Witness-esque.
I'm going to say, to nutshell it, Aid, from my experience in both camps, I'd say that Myst and Riven and those kind of games are very abstract and like logic-based, or as opposed to, the point and clicks of your, should we say, your taste, your like Sam and Max, your Day of the Tentacle Sips, they're more narrative and humour-based, and obviously it's like silly items and, dialogue.
It's sort of like wordplay in a game form. I think those kind of games are. I think the thing with Riven that differs from those kind of games that AD likes is that Myst and Riven and those kind of games are more of an exercise in how resourceful you are and how observant you are, rather than figure out the answer from these things that may be similar or different, and sort of like, does that make sense? I feel like I'm not explaining myself very well.
No, I understand everything you're saying, though.
Cool. Sometimes I don't.
Okay, then I suppose we'd round out the segment with what has Steve been playing, and
what have you been playing, Steve?
I feel like I've lost a piece of my soul over these past couple of days, to be honest with you.
That's
You've
gaming.
been playing Destiny 2.
No, I haven't been playing Destiny 2. I've been playing Final Fantasy X. Only, I enjoy this game, okay? I love this. It's got the best battle system, in my opinion, and, character progression system is busted as fuck. All right? I went out and it's one of those RPGs I've played since it came out. And I thought, I've got this HD remaster sitting around. I'm going to be an idiot. I'm going to try and get all the achievements.
You fool.
I've regretted this decision because the way FF10's levels up, it's not like a traditional RPG where you level up and bing stats. You have to every level up allows you to traverse a grid filled with nodes. You move and you have to unlock these nodes with points and spheres. It took me 100+ hours to max out 7 characters, and you know what? I had to fight the same boss about 200 fucking times. And I thought my childhood self would have loved to relish in 100% in this game, and I did it for him. My child self can go jump off a fucking cliff. Alright. That being said, the fact that I can now, this is a game where if you don't use cheap tactics, where you have what summons are in a Final Fantasy game, big showy attack. Yeah. Without using one of them that can basically one-shot things on a random chance, you would never have a chance with these super bosses. And the fact that I could then, after doing this, very tedious, very draining. I cannot stress it enough. Do not go for the 100% on Final Fantasy X, ladies and gentlemen. You are losing a portion of your life you're never going to get back. Let's do a lot of other podcasts, by the way, so that was kind of fun. But being able to fight these bosses on an even keel was a nice feeling after all this grinding, because there was upshot of 30 mini super bosses and then another like 10 super bosses, all with different strategies and things, and being able to actually employ them, because I now have the statistics to at least nudge them, was kind of appealing. I've got to do FF10 too now, haven't I?
Yes, you have.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
At least that's like infinitely less tedious to flicking complete, and it's got an okay battle system with the job switching and stuff. But yeah, that's been my lot. In between video editing and Enter the Gungeon to defuse and mind bleach myself after killing anything eater 40 times in a row. Oh, God, yeah. So basically, never 100% Final Fantasy games, kids. That's the lesson you learn from this.
Did you actually finish the Final Fantasy then?
I have. No, I actually did. Like, legitimately, no bullshit cheap bosses. I went and punched through FF10.
Physically.
Yeah, no, I've got it digitally, Adam. I can't even have the satisfaction of snapping the disc afterwards as like some kind of victory pose.
So I've tried playing that game twice now, and both times I got up to the same spot, went off to grind, and then never came back to it.
It's the 10-1, right? 10-1 has this very strange thing where it's like, not unlike 13, in that it's semi-linear until you get to basically the end game, and then you can do whatever you like. There's more divergences than FF13, but you could still beat the game, character progression-wise. If you're just following normal progression to the end of the game, you would still be at a comfortable level to beat it. Whereas, to do any of the super bosses, you don't have to go from, I've played this 20-hour RPG to 100 hours. And as much as I love the battle system, I don't fucking love it that much. There's only so many times I can, like, literally see the same boss on the same green field. Thank God for Spotify. That's all I'm going to say. To at least keep it, the audio mixed up. Other than that, Enter the Gungeon. And that's, a fun little roguelike shooter game that, for the first time ever, the day of recording, I have beaten. Which is, a feather in my cap.
Well, speaking of that, I've also been playing one that I've just remembered.
Okay, go on.
Which is...
bonus round.
Yeah, bonus round. Nier Automata.
Nier Automata.
Oh,
Yes.
Okay. A friend of mine in the studio has been playing that. She says it's really good.
It is very good. I've only had about an hour on it so far, but that hour has been... It's like I've been playing several different games rolled into one.
Yeah, she's been telling me about it, and it sounds like really sort of interesting, and I'm thinking I'm maybe picking it up. Apparently it's a sequel, though.
Yeah, they're part of the Dragon Guard games, aren't they? There's Dragon Guards and then there's Nier, but you don't really need to play them from what I've been told.
So
okay.
My kind of experience was I booted it up, not knowing what to expect, and I got thrown into a shmup.
Okay.
And then that shmup, after a minute or so, turned into a twin-stick shooter.
This sounds like a good time.
And then that turned into like a little kind of like hallway sort of run, not reminiscent of the Star Wars arcade where you're going through the trench.
Okay.
Okay. This is by the same people's Final Fantasy, isn't it?
No, it's Platinum. So they have a pedigree of stupidly difficult games and hack and slash games, but this is apparently a mold breaker. Bayonetta, Bayonetta, Transformers Devastation, Bayonetta 2.
Oh, okay. I don't know where I got that from.
It's Metal Gear Revengeance, but I'm sidetracking. Go on.
They did that?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Anyway, after the little run thing, it dropped off your character, and that turned it into like a 3D action fighter, not reminiscent.
Character action game, as they like to call them now.
And then that turned into after a little while, into like a 2D platform using the 3D world.
This sounds like a wild ride.
The way you describe it reminds me of, you remember the Red Star that we played for the channel?
Yes.
Way back, which shifted genres left and right. It was more shmup than anything else, but it was beat 'em up elements. Kind of like that, but it's apparently like in a post-apocalyptic robo world, isn't it?
Yeah.
Where everyone's a cyborg and stuff.
Yeah, it's like, well, and people have gone to the moon or something, and they've sent androids down to try and clear up the Earth, which has been overrun by robots, from what I gather.
So it's like WALL-E.
Yeah, I mean, you're sent down to an emergency signal, which is like a rogue robot or something, and it turned out to be a massive fucking crane, which is half robot, and which tries to smash and fucking saw you in half.
Lovely.
So I basically defeated that. I went back up to what they call the bunker, which is like your world hub, and then I practically save it there.
Okay.
This is just one game.
Yeah, this is just one game.
Oh, Nier Automata is on a lot of
hour.
people's lists. A lot of people's, like, top 10 game GOAT lists, game of all time lists.
And the music is fucking outstanding in it. I just can't praise the music enough. It's very reminiscent of like Ghost in the Shell sort of styles.
You see, you immediately say that, and I'm sold.
Yeah.
The music of Ghost in the Shell has always been a personal favourite of mine. And, right. Okay, so for our main discussion this time then, on a first time out on the Reboot Firebutton podcast, is something that's kind of near and dear to me and is almost very common in the gaming sphere at all, is now the subject of remakes and remasters and what's a port and what isn't a port. Now, the reason I bring this up is because we all have a level of nostalgia for games, right? We have more so than others. And the thing that kind of brought me to mind is that Resident Evil 2 came out early this year, and that kind of blurred the line between what is a remake, what is a reimagining, and what is a remaster and stuff. And how it's a completely, different game using the DNA of a previous game. Now, how do we generally feel when, say, maybe not something as straightforward as Sonic the Hedgehog, let's say...
Spyro?
Say if Street Fighter 3 was announced. Oh, no, actually, Spyro's a good shout, Harry. Spyro's a good shout.
Crash Bandicoot,
Because that's another remake remaster that kind of blurred the line between both, because it's not just a visual touch.
Definitely,
a few control overhauls and things as well, wasn't there? Behind the scenes and new voice cast.
They basically built the game from the ground up again, because with the way, unlike Crash Bandicoot with Spyro, they didn't have access to the original sort of game thing, data, whatever. So they literally rebuilt it from the ground up, but to get it as close to the original game as possible.
So are we generally on a positive vibe with these things, or are we starting to get sick of them?
I quite enjoy it. I mean, it's probably totally helps that it plays to the whole nostalgia with these things. Because yes, a lot of the remasters coming out are what people enjoyed when they were younger, years ago. And there's always going to be some, rose-tinted specs, for that kind of thing.
I mean, it kind of depends for me. I mean, if you look at stuff like the Resident Evil 2 and the Spyro stuff, that's entirely fine. They're building it from the ground up. It's looking great. But when you take stuff like, the Assassin's Creed and the Assassin's Creed Rogue.
Yeah, they were more ports, weren't they?
They're more ports, but they were I appreciate them because they were built up for the 4K, so they look a lot better on the 4K monitors and everything. But they're essentially just the same game. They're not really tweaked them that much. So is there really a point for the people who just play them on the 1080p stuff? Do you know what I mean? It seems like
I sort of see what you mean.
Just for the higher resolution people, if you know what I mean.
There's always going to be those sort of graphic snobs, I think. This actually reminds me of Riven, actually. I'm sorry, this is kind of relevant. When I was looking at the App Store to download Riven, I was looking at some of the reviews, and there was this is a really excellent port, but it's not really improved the graphics much, which is what I would normally expect for this kind of thing. And I'm just like...
Can I just interject briefly? I appreciate the fact that, smarmy British guy is the voice of all comments. Go on, Harry.
No, it's fine. I've lost my train of thought now.
Sorry.
No, sorry. What were you saying, AD? Let's see if I can remember.
I was just saying about 4K and 1080.
Oh, yeah. There are going to be sort of the graphic snobs who would love an old game, but for some reason don't even look at it or touch it because the graphics aren't as great as they could be these days. And I think that's a shame because there are some really great games that, okay, so some of the graphics might be a bit shaky, but it's still an enjoyable and good game. So I think if you look at remasters from purely just upscaling it, I think it's kind of nice to sort of see a nice shiny scaled version, but as you say, it's also kind of unnecessary unless they bring something new to the table.
It's for this reason that I think fundamentally, if you remake a game, complete remaster, I think the original should always be available, on the same disc or whatever, even if it's just the Easter egg.
Like a legacy thing.
I mean, I like how... Jay makes a good point. It reminds me of the Monkey Island and the Halo Master Chief stuff, where you could literally, there's a button. There is a old school button where it just completely goes diddle-doo, diddle-doo, and you're now in the old game as opposed to the new one.
A little bit like...
yeah, exactly.
Bring up R-Type.
And Wonder Boy the Dragon's Trap both did that.
Yeah, there was a button you pressed, so it literally, in mid-game, it just switched seamlessly to the version, as if it was overlaid, and that was really well done.
Especially running 2 games in tandem.
I can find that more interesting, to be honest, because you like compare the two as you're playing through the game.
What, versus a complete overhaul rebuild? Like,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
See,
and one thing that's interesting about, I'll bring up Wonder Boy: The Dragon's Trap, which the remake is gorgeous. It's like one of my favourite remakes ever. But sometimes it's worth switching from the old school to the new school mode, because you can see things, notice sort of hidden things and secrets that are visible in one mode and not the other. It's kind of cool.
That's another one that's... Am I correct in thinking that they literally have not changed anything about that game other than the way that it looks?
The main guy behind it, Omar Cornett, he was instrumental in getting one of the first cycle-accurate Sega Master System emulators sort of running. And he reverse-engineered Wonder Boy 3 to actually get the game perfect.
Yeah, but that's not what I'm saying. I mean, like, they haven't added anything new or changed any controls. They've literally just remade the game exactly how it was, but with shiny new graphics.
There were some very, very tiny kind of quality of life improvements.
Yeah. Okay, so that's an example of making something really, really good just purely for the graphical sense, but as you say, by an extension of improving the graphics, it sort of also improves on the original game, even if it's only in little minute things.
Yeah.
So I think that's a good example of redoing something just for the graphics' sake that also kind of benefits the original game.
Yeah. Go on, Adam. You still got something to say?
Yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing a reboot of the Jack series.
That was going to be my next question. If we could all pick a game that we wanted to see rebooted or remastered, what would it be?
Oh, Christ. Give me some time.
Are you ready for my answer?
Go on, Harry.
The Myst games. Okay, no, hear me out. So I'm of the opinion that the graphics don't really need updating. Yes, they're kind of like chunky and sort of a bit sort of weird and off because it was that kind of era where CGI was still in its infancy. But the thing that makes me think it would be great to see a remastered Myst games is things like VR.
Well, you say that, and I'm thinking immediately Real Myst, because that in VR would have been really cool.
Because it's all first person. You don't play a character. You simply just play yourself exploring these worlds, and all you need to do is just interact with things. And I think that would be perfect for like a proper VR remaster. So it's not really so much the graphics that I think could do with like remastering, so much as just improving the what's the word? Not absorbency. Immersion, yeah. Like improving the immersion there, because it was always very immersive just by virtue of you being yourself in this world. Imagine what it'd be like in VR.
If they was going to do that, they'd have to sort of cater to the people that just can't take VR. Because some people can't.
Well, that's it. I mean, like, for example, there's games like, Resi 7 did it, where you could have both a VR mode and a non-VR mode. And
yeah, that'd be great. That'd be great.
I think that's why the PS4 VR would probably be the best, because they usually do both versions cater. You'll have like the pad version and then...
Yeah, and you can I don't know if it's like a straight toggle between them, and there's definitely like a visual downgrade from VR to standard, non-VR mode. Non-VR mode will look smoother because it doesn't have to compensate for 360 movements on your hand.
Yeah. I've not had any experience with PSVR, so I can't say.
I think Adam's the only one out of us who has.
Yes. I've sat in an X-Wing fighter. That's all I need to say.
He's beaming while he's saying this.
Alright, I've got to ask Jay, what if you could pick any game ever to be in, I suppose, in the modern way, the remake treatment, the remaster treatment, what would you pick?
Okay, so I've got a trilogy here, and AD is going to love this. The first 3 Panzer Dragoon games.
You stole mine, you bastard.
I am serious, though. I mean, okay, so the first 2 are like rail shooters, good rail shooters, might I add, and the third one was a role-play game. But the world building in Panzer Dragoon, especially Panzer Dragoon Saga, it's got its own language, which I originally thought was Japanese, but it's not.
No.
You talk about immersion. There is no other game I have played that actually feels so otherworldly than Panzer Dragoon Saga. It is just such an amazing game, and I really regret selling mine for the Sega Saturn because I would love to play through it all again. And if they remastered the entirety. The first Panzer Dragoon game was, it's a competent rail shooter. I'd love for some quality of life improvements, like saving where you got to, so you don't have to start from the beginning every time. The second one did that. Panzer Dragoon Y is one of my favorite rail shooters ever. And Saga, people need to play that. I think, it came out barely a year after Final Fantasy VII, and a lot of people really rate Final Fantasy VII.
I think it was dropped.
96 would be before 7, wouldn't it?
Or was it 97?
Yeah, people that really rate Final Fantasy VII. It's a good game, don't get me wrong, but I definitely preferred Saga.
Panzer Dragoon Saga, you've been telling me about that for as long as I've known you, and it sounds like something I would love, but unfortunately, because it is rocking horse shit and probably will never be remastered, I'm probably never going to be able to play it.
No, never say never, Harry. I mean, we live in a day and age where I got my Resident Evil 2 remake. Anything's possible.
So I've got a bit of good news and bad news here.
Go on, Aid.
The first two are getting remasters.
Okay.
What?
The first
Okay,
two.
this is like the
I
first
cannot
time I've heard
remember
the
the
game.
company that are doing it, but they are getting remastered. They've confirmed them for the end of this year, I believe.
End of this year. Okay. Well,
Unfortunately, Panzer Dragoon Saga is a different story.
The one that I've been heard so much about that I'd like to play.
Yeah, Sega's
Of course.
kind of lost all the source code for it, so there is no way to actually do it.
is there
unless
no
they
like
build
shady ROM that can like take
Yeah,
and
but couldn't they
remaster
just
and
do-
repurpose?
They'd have to
Couldn't they
build
do-
it from scratch.
Yeah, couldn't they do a Spyro the Dragon jobby and just build it from the ground up again? Because that was literally how it was with Spyro. They couldn't, for some reason, they couldn't use the source code, so they had to recode it all.
I think the difference with Spyro is they're a lot smaller games than what Panzer Dragoon was.
Okay, fair enough.
I'm going to just say never. You got to have optimism in this day and age, guys. You can't just take...
Bottom line,
True.
buy the remakes that are coming out, and hopefully
Wait, are they full remakes or are they just up-resed?
full remakes from what I gather.
Okay, that tickles my pickle a
interesting.
bit more, because someone wants to talk about is that I get, like, there's two kinds of things that I really like and dislike, in that when they say, oh yeah, we're remaking this, and it is literally the same game with a sheen of paint, it's kind of like less interesting. If it was the same game with a sheen of paint and some new stuff added, or like here's an extra, like consider it a mission, like Doom 3 BFG Division, BFG Division, that's a song, BFG Edition, right? That at least came with the Lost Mission stuff. That was an extra like mini campaign, right? If they can like, going all the way back to probably the first thing I bought twice, Resident Evil 4 on the GameCube PS2. PS2 version had an entirely new chapter put into the game that's like ancillary to the main story. When games do that, at the very least, that's when I'm like at least going to go, that port might be worth my time. Like, was it Sonic 2 on mobile?
Right.
Sonic 2 on mobile had like some cut content put in as like full levels. I think Jay can corroborate this for me.
It had Hidden Palace Zone. The legendary Hidden Palace Zone.
So like, whole new areas and things like that. Games where they, I'm
So
more
this
of a fan.
kind-
Extra content.
Yeah, basically.
This kind of run is actually making me think of all the Kingdom Hearts stuff that came out before Kingdom Hearts 3. A lot of it was sort of remastered and compiled onto one thing so you could play everything that ever was, like all in one place before Kingdom Hearts 3 came out. And on the one hand, you've got Chain of Memories, which used to be on the Game Boy Advance, which was like pixels, isometric. And the remaster that they put on that disc was like a fully three-dimensional, third-person hacky-slashy thing, but with the mechanics of the original game. And then, on the other hand, you've got things like Birth by Sleep, which is pretty much the port from the PSP, I think it was, but just sort of like a bit more HD. And even if they don't, in the case of Birth by Sleep, even if they don't add shiny new content, I'm still all over that. Not necessarily for the HDness, but just for the sake of being able to play it on a different console that I actually own compared to the PSP. I don't mind the idea of ports if it's on a different, more accessible console.
Yeah,
If it
so
doesn't
something
add anything
new,
extra.
Something new, current, and still in use in your living room, as opposed to having to cut out the PS1.
Yeah.
Or,
So I'm fine with it not adding extra bells and whistles because I'm getting what I wanted. I'm getting to be able to play that game, which I wasn't able to do previously.
I'm sort of talking to the wrong crowd here. I think we all have like a PS2, literally like somewhere just out of sight or whatnot to play our old
Oh
games
yeah,
on.
it's still there. Yeah,
but
mine is
doesn't work very
connected.
much.
I mean, I'm the biggest whore for that when it comes to the King of Fighters stuff. If it's released on anything, I'll fucking buy it. But
Yeah.
I've lost count how many copies of 2000 I've got.
So, since Jay stole Panzer Dragoon from you, Aid, What would you like to see?
I'm going to get slapped for
Go-
announcing
go on.
that I've never heard of Panzer Dragoon.
Oh,
This is why it needs remaking.
yeah.
Tell us about it, Aid.
Well, Panzer Dragoon podcast. We watched the record.
Well, seeing as I've got the Saturn running, perhaps we might be able to actually get some footage of it. And
If I
play
can
at one
find the
point.
right cabling, I don't see any reason why not.
No,
That's an experiment.
if you've got HDMI cable.
I do. Does all the Saturn have a HDMI port?
Mine does now.
What is this science fiction technology and how did you find it?
It's called a split.
Okay, fair enough. Right. Coming soon to Firebutton near you.
Spoiler.
Some Saturn games. All of a sudden Jay is like, jumped upright and is now on his way here.
I can hear his cock on the other end of the microphone. The other one I'd probably choose would be probably one out of left field. The original Parasite Eve.
Yes! No, I am... Fucking sign me the fuck up. Me and Aid had to go... This is a little side story for the podcast. Me and Aid had to go through a fucking litany of bullshit for me to download it on the PS3 just to get hold of it and to have a tangible... It can be the same fucking game up-res. I don't care. I want to play Parasite Eve on a modern console. It's been... Why is it only locked off to the fucking States on, like, the PSP and things like that? No! Alright, sorry. Carry on, Aid, before I get ranty.
No, it's fine. I mean, it was using like the Final Fantasy VIII sort of engine, if I remember. It looked very Final Fantasy VIII-ish.
From what I've played of it now, it kind of feels like halfway between. The FMVs definitely are a step up from 7, but the actual backgrounds and models look like they could be relatives, just polished versions of 7, like the battle models.
But to see all that like properly rendered in 3D, perhaps, I mean, either just give it just like a 3D overhaul or give it like a complete Resident Evil 2 style reboot thing.
Might dip into what the third birthday was, though. I didn't really rate that game.
I mean, you've always got that risk when you're doing that sort of thing.
Yeah, I mean, while we're talking about remakes and remasters, there have been some, shall we say, flops and stuff where they've tried to rebuild the game. Right, you've got your Syndicate, you've got your XCOM, the Bureau.
I actually enjoyed Syndicate.
Did you?
Yeah, I wanted to feel that really liked it.
I say it got smashed to pieces in the fucking reviews.
As in Assassin's Creed?
No, Syndicate as in...
Oh, as in the
Future Corp and Eurocorp, where you get these dudes around and you have to blast people as a...
The original, like, isometric top-down where you're running around with 4 dudes, and then they actually remade it into a first-person shooter.
I think I know what you mean, yes.
So there was another one they did.
Deus Ex?
No, Deus Ex, I'd say that was... No, that's fine.
No?
If I'm being honest. There was a game that was like that isometric, like, puzzle, almost strategy game that got turned into a shooter, but I'm struggling what it was. I do remember it also did not receive things. I know Syndicate was not the only one of these remasters that just got lambasted for being so far from the source material.
Yeah.
But like, for example, Little Big Planet comes back, and it's now...
Metal Gear Solid.
Yeah, for want of a better term. It wouldn't be the same.
No.
And like Dungeon Keeper coming back as a first-person shooter Doom clone. It doesn't make sense. It should keep with at least maybe skirt outside the genre it's in, but at least stay, keep one foot in the grave, so to speak, on where it came from.
Yeah.
Keep
it grounded to where it originally birthed.
Yeah, because you've got to have remakes and ports. They need to have that, at least a little bit of that nostalgia factor. I think if
otherwise you'll alienate all the existing fans.
Exactly. If Resident Evil 2 had come out and it had been some kind of turn-based strategy game, I'm pretty sure everyone would have flipped the lid.
I was just thinking like Halo and Halo Wars type.
Yeah. No, Halo Wars wasn't more so much a remake, though, was it? That was a side game.
Yeah, it's a side game, but a lot of people who played like the original Halo games didn't like Halo Wars.
It was catering for a very different audience. Yeah, I think that's fair. I mean...
Well, there was Command & Conquer, didn't they do a first person as well?
They did. Command & Conquer Renegade, but I think different era maybe. Maybe because it was all still on the PC, maybe people just went for it. I don't remember Renegade getting... I remember it getting middling reviews. Now they're like, this is the worst game ever made.
Do you think that would benefit from a remaster?
There's fans making their own version called Renegade X. It looks okay. I mean, I never really took to it in the first place. Command & Conquer for me is now a franchise that sadly is dead. I mean, there is actually a remake on the horizon, but I'm holding my bets on that.
Yeah.
Because that in itself just changed genre when it advanced itself. It went from the classic games to some kind of weird pseudo mobile base malarkey that the fourth game was, and then they just completely let's take all these campy production values and make it as
I mean, for me, they kind of lost the way when they started doing things like Generals. I think the last decent one was Red Alert 2.
See, I think the last decent one was Command & Conquer 3, but Red Alert 2 is still the baby. That's still the best one. But we are going a bit off topic on ports and remasters, aren't we? I mean, I'm trying to think of other ports that have done, like you said, Deus Ex earlier. That had a somewhat dumbed down console port, didn't it, for PS2? Where they, like, the graphics were a slightly touch up.
Was that Invisible Wall?
No, that's the original. The original Deus Ex. That got a port to PS2.
I only played the original on PC.
Oh, okay, well. Basically, what they did was they streamlined a lot. Not quite System Shock to Bioshock level of streamlined, but they made it so your inventory is a lot less difficult to manage. But the contrast was that levels were much smaller, and like loading instances were a lot more common. Like they were chopped up into smaller chunks.
Right.
Story was still there. The game was fundamentally as much the same as it could be, but without the necessitation of a keyboard, you now have to make the interface simpler. Does that make sense?
Yeah. What was the controls like?
Basically trigger to shoot, X to move, and
Standard.
Yeah, it was fairly basic.
Didn't they do a spin-off of XCOM?
I don't know, Adam. You should probably face the microphone when you say words. What did you say?
I said, did they ever do a spin-off of XCOM?
No. Yeah, Bureau, XCOM Declassified, which is a XCOM meets Mass Effect 1950s themed mediocre mess of a game that's okay if you can appreciate the aesthetic and the fact the main character literally talks like this all the time. And he's constantly moving his fucking hands. He's got like the worst art animation ever. It's just him playing with his fingers. It's literally tedious as fuck to see.
Was it worse than Stan the ship salesman from Monkey Island?
Hey, at least he had a nice suit.
He had a great suit.
What was his name? I can't remember.
Stan.
It was, Stan. He moved on to caskets in Monkey Island 2.
His flailing hands, though.
We're going way off topic.
Yeah, we are.
Where are we?
Well, I was actually going to talk about the games I'd like to see remastered.
Go on.
Which is probably niche as fuck. But you know how Spyro and Crash had these loving recreations with like slightly different music? I would like to see a semi-faithful rebuild of the original Tomb Raider games. Like I'm talking 1, 2, and 3. Yeah, specifically. Shall we say the original trilogy. But I don't know how they do it, because there's a temptation to go like the anniversary route, where it sort of looks the same, but plays nothing like it, and now has a more in-depth narrative. I want a game that is still block puzzle orientated, if you want a better term.
Would you like it in more like the leg end sort of thing, or going towards the Shadow of Tomb Raider style?
Something old school.
Something old school.
So, a slightly polished up old school. Maybe find a way to make it so it doesn't look like it's all made out of Lego bricks.
It's obviously like Shadow of Tomb Raider and whatever. It goes more towards the Nathan Drake Uncharted route.
The Uncharted, which was like homage to Tomb Raider, then became full circle. And no, I mean literally like Tomb Raider is base DNA rebuilt.
I am sort of with you on. Because although I love what they did with Anniversary as a remake of the first one, there's something to be said for, the original trilogy, they're very, very explicitly block-based. You can tell what the distances are that you have to run and jump and stuff, but they're so good about that. Something nice.
I can't remember where I heard it, but the idea of Lara running like clockwork and that every move can be precise and engineered, I like the idea of that because it makes it a very mechanical-focused game. Yeah. And maybe... But, I mean, is it Tomb Raider level editor or something Tom was telling me about? Way back, people still make levels for it now. Oh, yeah. But I could do with an update, is what I'm saying. Now, if someone was to announce a Tomb Raider Legacy Pack and it's the old games with a bit of polish, maybe the teeniest bits of conveniences, like Spyro's got a better camera, and I think Crash...
Debatable.
Well, you can have both cameras, can't you, on Spyro?
Yeah.
Just... the teeniest bits of modern convenience, so it's still old school enough to appeal to me without being too easy. Does that make sense? Is that pretentious?
Yeah, carry on.
It might happen. I mean, look at Duke Nukem. They brought
I'd rather not, if I'm honest.
They brought that back out after a while, though. After a long wait.
You mean there was Duke Nukem Forever, and then there was Manhattan?
The new one.
Duke Nukem Forever?
Maybe. And
then there was Manhattan Project, which was like some kind of weird side-scrolling shooter that was trying to homage its older games, but really badly.
Was the Manhattan one early digital? Was the Manhattan one early digital?
Yes, it was a digital only. It was like an XBLA release for a while.
Right.
I think Duke Nukem is a good example when sort of Gearbox, after acquiring Duke Nukem, just basically went back to Duke Nukem 3D for an extra episode, like pretending Forever didn't even happen.
So you never know.
Honestly, Adam, I think it's best to just, nail in the coffin. Duke is dead.
I'm talking Tomb Raider.
Oh,
I was using Duke.
Yeah, no, I mean,
Sempel.
I think I was reading today that the isometric Tomb Raider twin sticky style things. Apparently, that's still legend continuity Lara as well, as opposed to the newer Lara, who's a bit more bruised and beaten up by everything she sees with a crossbow.
Temple of Osiris, is that it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, I haven't played them, so pinch of salt on that one.
Is that Warrior of Light? Was it?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've waxed lyrical a bit about ports, remakes, and remasters. I'm trying to think what will be the prime example of how not to do it in recent age. What's the one you've really been upset by? I want to start with Aid.
The only ones that I've really played recently is the ACA Neo Geo ports, which I think Hamster's been doing. They're literally taking the Neo Geo ports, bringing them over to the Xbox and PlayStation 4 and changing nothing.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing, though?
It's a good thing in a way, but it's when you play the older ones on the South and whatnot, they've got a certain feel to it, and it kind of loses that feel through this. It's kind of hard to explain unless you actually play the game.
So basically,
it might be the pad that I'm using, to be honest. It's some of the stuff you just can't pull off unless you're extremely precise.
Workman never blames his tools.
Well, I'm using the Xbox Elite pad. It's got the extra roller on it, and it feels like a Neo Geo pad, but when you're playing the game, it doesn't feel like it's on the Neo Geo.
Okay.
If you know.
Could be a responsiveness thing,
It's possible.
I mean, Jay's he's recently got a PS3, and any game he played on 360, if he gets a chance, he's going to play it on the PS3 now because he's got a pad that he prefers. Is that right?
Pretty much.
The King of Fighters I've always preferred on the PlayStation pad.
Yeah?
I've no idea why.
Okay. Adam, since you seem to be struggling, I'm going to ask you anyway and put you on the spot.
Yay!
Has there ever been a remake or remaster of a game, doesn't matter what,
that I regret that they made?
Not that you regret that you made, but you were disappointed by. Technical difficulties. So, Jay,
me, I'm not that kind of person to.
No.
I won't.
I think Adam's like me.
It's a hard topic, isn't it?
You'll find something to enjoy about any game, really.
Yeah.
You glass half full motherfuckers. I was being positive earlier in this podcast, and now you let me down when I need some misery. So, Jay, what do you think?
Okay, so I'm going to talk about one of my favourite games over here, Doom. Mm-hmm. That has been basically remade twice. Doom 3 was a remake, spiritually, of the first game, and I think it just missed the point totally. It was more of a System Shock kind of homage. Totally missed what made the original Doom work. And then you've got the 2016 Doom, which hit the mark so hard, there's a new mark behind the mark.
That's fair.
Yeah, there's a how not to in Doom 3 and Doom 2016, how to very much do a remake.
It's weird, because when you said Doom, I immediately thought, were you going to talk about the PS1 version? Or
No, the PS1 version, I think, was a pretty good version. It was my first Doom, so I'm obviously quite fond of it. And it's like they went with the strength of the system. It couldn't run as fast as the PC version, so they had to sort of trim it down a bit. So they kind of went a bit more horror-themed with it and more atmospheric in that.
At the time me and you played it, I actually think it's a very unique version of Doom that stands up rather well, even with its slightly spooky, haunting soundtrack.
Yeah, it's a good version.
But I've got to ask, what is it that most upset you about Doom 3?
Well, the list would be what did not upset me about it.
Okay, what about Doom 3 versus Doom 3 BFG? Was there any improvements there? I mean, is it still just too friggin' dark and not enough fun?
To be fair, what it's worth, I would say Doom 3 Vanilla is the better game. Because,
really?
If you... Right, pretend it's not Doom. Pretend it's just something else as a first-person shooter. The whole thing about it, where it's dark, and you have to make the choice between do you get your flashlight out or do you actually attack. It adds a lot more tension and difficulty to the proceedings. Doom 3 BFG sort of that with the shoulder light, and they improve the lighting in some areas where you basically don't need the shoulder light much. And I think it just watered down what was already a lackluster experience.
I'm going to say, you're not a big fan of survival horror games, and I was thinking, of the entire set of Doom games, the most almost a survival horror is easily Doom 3.
Yeah, I think that's it. You know, like they take action-based first-person shooter and make it survival horror. You're going to alienate a lot of people, and I'm one of them.
Okay. Since Adam's still on a loading screen, Harry.
I have still got nothing.
Yeah, I probably got only slightly less nothing than Adam, because I don't think I've actually really played that many remakes, remasters, other than the aforementioned Kingdom Hearts stuff and Spyro. If I had to push, if the question is remakes that I thought were disappointed or remasters that were disappointed that sort of missed the mark, is one that I've technically not played yet, and that's the Castlevania that were re-released, just simply hasn't changed.
I'd say that's a glass half full, glass half empty situation, because on the one hand you've got Symphony, but it's also a weird Symphony with the weird voice cast. There's no fun.
It's going to be really nice to sort of play on a modern console, as you say. You know, just the original Alucard is just like chocolate, and the new one's just like brr. But I think I'll probably just end up playing it in the Japanese version, so better anyway.
And I said, there's definitely a reason why they got Robert Belgrade back for Bloodstained. You know, he's got that fan rep. People in the Castlevania series want that Alucard.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they don't want, hi, I'm Alucard, how you doing? they want, you know, I've come to destroy this castle. Yeah.
I'm interested in this.
Yeah, exactly. You know, that's Alucard. Deep bass, Bishonen frame.
Yeah. So, that's pretty much all I got, you know. I just haven't played many.
Okay, now I've had time to think.
Oh, God.
And got
He's
into
ready.
the gun. I've been out of the gun store.
I can see the steam.
Now, I've got nothing bad about it. Now, let's go to the 360 here. It's when Metal Gear Solid had a comeback.
You mean Metal Gear Solid 2 and 3?
2,
port?
3, and the port, yes. Why, and this is the big hate, didn't they bring Metal Gear 1 out?
That's probably a case of they either had the PS1's infrastructure for Metal Gear Solid and may have been a grey area because they couldn't bring the GameCube version of Twin Snakes across, because I think Silicon Knights had there's either a rights issue or the game just couldn't move.
Silicon Rights folded.
Yeah.
There was a whole issue with Dennis Dyer.
They held the rights to the Twin Snakes version of Metal Gear Solid 1, which, I might add, you bastard, you've took that from me.
What?
Because my choice for shit port is Metal Gear Solid 1, the Twin Snakes, on the GameCube.
Talk about that?
Yeah. Okay, I'll tell you why. It richly ruins the entirety of the fucking PS1 game. Right? You've got a somewhat uninspired voice cast doing their it's great, most of them came back. They're delivering it with a bit less enthusiasm. And David Hayter's gone from using the Snake voice from MGS1 to that weird one where his side's a bit more throaty in every other Metal Gear game. You've then got these over-the-top FMVs, right, that literally take this whole gritty and dramatic stuff and fucking balk it into a weird, peculiar action sequence. And then, top it off, it's got MGS2's mechanics, which I like MGS2. I love its mechanics. It ruins every bit of challenge in the Twin Snakes version of MGS1. Because Ocelot's a freaking joke. You can just stand still and just aim at it. They're running around. There's no cat and mouse stuff. You know, I'm pretty sure Vulcan Raven's the same deal. You know, even the only way to get first person on him in the original is the Stinger or the Nikita. In this, you can just casually walk behind him and shoot him in the legs.
He's an attack. Oh yeah, right. Never mind.
No, cap him.
The guards have still got a somewhat diminished vision cone, which is why they're easy to friggin' take out. It makes the game no fun for me.
Well, I've got nothing to.
That and they replaced the soundtrack.
I've never actually played Twin Snake.
Twin Snakes.
Yeah, I've never played it yet.
Well, you never played it yet?
I haven't played it.
I've got it on the GameCube.
Well, I know
We're not playing it.
No, well, go on.
No.
That's it, recording.
No. No, if we do a Metal Gear Solid on this channel, it is the original Metal Gear Solid. I'm sorry, I'm putting my foot down.
We'll do that first then.
I'll lift your foot up and make you go.
Oh,
do that
dear.
first and then you can go into that.
I'm sorry I kind of railroaded over your opinion, but so I'm right in thinking, going back to your point before I got emotional. The reason you're disappointed with the port of MGS2 and MGS3 is simply it came without MGS1.
Yeah. I mean, let's take a look at Zone of Enders. Both of those came out.
Yeah, but they're both on the same
HD.
infrastructure. They were both built off of the PS2 version. I mean, I suppose on a side note, the Silent Hill games, they got a port of a very similar vein. Don't think it was the same team, But they only did 2 and 3, whereas there's 3 Silent Hill games on the PS2. Well, 3 mainline ones. You got 2, 3, and 4, and they only got 2 and 3. So I can see having an incomplete set being a mild irritant.
Yeah.
Plus, it is the better Metal Gear game as well, MGS1. I mean, some people say 3.
So. Two's a close second, of course.
Yeah, really? Okay. Yeah, a lot of people slate 2, believe it or not. Even though it's apparently aged rather well in terms of context of the actual story and things.
See, I'm kind of out of left field, and my favourite MGS game is actually the one with Raiden.
MGS2?
No.
Revengeance?
Yes.
The one made by Platinum Games?
That's the one.
All the way back to Nier Automata, okay.
The one with the swords?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because it was so different from the other one.
Oh, it's a brilliant game. It's in the top 3 Metal Gear games, or maybe top 5 for me. Yeah, I mean, I'm one of these weirdos that liked MGS5 and Peace Walker, so...
I can't stand those.
Yeah.
Peace Walker was really up your street because it was all statistic and grinding and...
No. It's because it was instance-based, and it was small. You could play it in small chunks. You didn't have to, spend 3 hours on a cutscene. You literally had tiny radio dialogue, or you could watch a full litany of radio tapes back at base and just play the fucking game.
I think that's my main gripe with 5. It's like the industry's just obsession with going open world and everything.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair. But we are going a bit...
And the co-op aspect of that game as well.
We're going a bit askew, aren't we? All right, okay.
It happens. We do this.
Have we got any other closing statements, or have we finished our podcast ramble, so to speak, my friends? Anyone got any closing words?
Not really. I think it's all been said, really. I think it's been a pretty good podcast.
Good first attempt.
Good first attempt. Jay, what do you think? Are you okay?
I think I want a biscuit.
Jay wants a biscuit. Adam?
I'll
You've
second
got
that.
biscuits.
We've got chocolate here.
Okay, so everyone's talking about biscuits, so I think it's time to say thank you for listening to this. Admittedly, it's a bit less polished than your traditional podcast, but we're also very uncouth, yobbish types at times, aren't we?
2
guys?
words, Steve. Edit.
Edit. You say edit. Say edit. I think there should be the full fat, silly version, and then yes, there will be the trimmed down professional version. But anyway, with that all being said, this was a nice little chat we've all had. So, okay, so this has been the first of the rebooted Firebutton podcasts, and it now comes to me to say, hey?
Bantercast.
We changed the fucking name now! Oh. Okay, so thank you for listening to the new revised Firebutton Bantercast. So I guess all that's left for us to say is, from me, Jay, Harry, Aid, and Adam, bye! Are you ready?
Yes.
My body is Reggie.
When was the last time I was on a video walk?
That
was ages
Don't
ago.
worry about it, Adam. Don't worry about it.
Not
I'm
gonna
going to
forget
rusty
you.
as shit.
All right.
It sounds like Adam's got imposter syndrome.
I bet you was on.
Oh, shit.
Before me, though.
Let's say the last video Aid's been on fucking ages ago.
It was one of the
What was
Yeah, it was
it?
one of
Streets
the
of Rage
fucking
3?
the fucking Japanese
Yeah.
ones.
Okay, no.
To be fair, I still love that point where Aid basically goes, yeah, I've got these pile of fucking games and a console with more booked in. Oh.
And some of those weren't in English.
Content.
That was hilarious.